Hi there, Ray here with another video. So last time we made a video about the question, why did the GPU market crash? And in this video we will talk about how will the GPU market be in the future, but before we get into that we will see why the GPU prices were high and why are they so low now compared to before. We will take a look at those answers so we can get a better understanding of the GPU market. But if you saw my last video, feel free to skip 2 minutes and 30 seconds of this video because in that video I covered the GPU prices before and why the GPU prices crashed. And now without wasting more of your time, let's begin with, why were the GPU prices high? And the GPU prices were high because of crypto mining, GPU scalpers, high demand and many other things that are not as important, at least not in my opinion. And if we mention them all, this video would take hours. But now let's talk about those points really quickly. What is crypto mining? Well, you take a PC with a good GPU, run a program, and you let your PC work 24/7, and over time it generates cryptocurrency. The other thing that made the GPU prices go that high are GPU scalpers. These are people that empty the market and then sell those parts with higher prices. And after that is high demand. And well, this happened because since we all were working from home and even students were studying from home, everyone needed a computer. So everyone needed a GPU to go with that computer, and the companies weren't prepared for that. And I just said everything quickly. If you want to know more about this, go and watch my last video. And yeah, there are many other reasons that I didn't cover, but they are not as relevant as these in my opinion. Now let's move on to why the GPU prices crashed, and the reasons are again crypto mining. Now we have low demand. There are more companies making GPUs, and thank God now there are no scalpers because there are a lot of GPUs in the market. I guess they couldn't buy them all this time around. But let's touch those points really quickly. Why crypto mining this time lowered the prices? And the reason is simple. Crypto mining now, it's not profitable. So that means that all those people that were mining now are now selling those PCs and everything in them. Now is low demand, and well, people don't really need PCs that much because life has come back to normal. And we have Intel that is making GPUs, so there are more companies that are making GPUs. And last, there are no scalpers anymore, at least not when it comes to GPUs, because when we look at other things there still are a lot of scalpers. And like I said before, I covered this in my last video in some more detail. So if you want to know a bit more about this, go watch that. Now let's get to this video's topic. What will the GPU prices be in the future? And I think that in the future the prices of GPUs will be like the prices of phones. And by saying that I mean, of course there will be those high-end cards that are too expensive, but there will be cheap to mid-range cards too. And I know there are some of those, but now in the future I think the market will go more towards those GPU that are cheap to mid-range. And at least in my opinion there are two main reasons why it didn't happen until now. First, not a lot of people were in PC gaming. There are a lot that play games only on console, and then there are even more that just don't like to play games that much, so they don't spend as much money on the GPU. But nowadays people are buying more and more GPUs. There are a lot more gamers. I wouldn't say gamers, but there are a lot more people that play games and they want to have a good PC. That is the first reason. And as per the second reason, well, competition. Now we don't have just two big companies that make GPUs. Now we have Intel too. Another has joined the GPU market. And when there's competition, the winners are the consumers. Finally, some good news for us. But why is that good for us? Well, now that there are more players in the GPU market, that means that there are more places where us consumers can go and get our GPUs. And let's just say that these companies, they don't want us to go to other places, they want us to go to them and just stay there until we are out of money. And the best thing is that it doesn't matter how much money you have, they want anything you have. And since there are three companies, the prices will become more competitive. And that's really good for us, because that means they will drop their prices since they want us to stay with them. And let's be honest with ourselves, we're not going to stay with Nvidia if their price for a GPU is twice as much as Intel's, but their performance is somewhat the same. We will change immediately. At least I will change my system immediately. And now, let's get into more detail. How will the prices be in the future? Glad you asked. Well, I think, and this is my personal opinion, there will be a lot more really cheap GPUs that will be made with some older parts, but they will be new. Think it like, for example, when we take Samsung A52, that was a good and popular phone, and it didn't have anything special. It didn't have the best screen. It didn't have the best performance because it had an older chip inside. It didn't have a good battery life. It didn't even have the best camera. But why did the people buy it? Well, it was good enough for everything, for one. Second, it was new. Third, and most important in my opinion, it was really cheap for what it was. And the reason why it was so cheap is because they used old hardware that now is a lot cheaper to produce because the technology has evolved. And the same will go with the GPUs in my opinion. When it comes to cheap GPUs, there will be some old parts combined together. Those parts are easy to produce and cheap, and this will be the point where the companies will make less money because the profit isn't high. This will be where companies will try just to get customers. Then we will have the mid-range, and like I said, here will be the same. There will be a bunch of old parts combined together, but they will be with maybe some newer architectures and better thermals to justify the price. And I think here will be where most people will buy GPUs. Here will be the best when it comes to price to performance. Here will be the parts that the most people will recommend. And here will be the GPUs that, for example, you can have high settings and the game will run extremely good, but you will be limited to 1080p for example. And don't get me wrong, GPUs will get better and they will be able to run games at 4K. But I just took this example to compare it to today's standards. And then when it comes to high-end cards, well, they will not be cheap, and these GPUs will not be targeted for most people. These are the cards that are overpriced, but they be there just to tell you what the companies are capable of making. So these cards are not for everyone. These cards are not even necessary. But if you want the latest and greatest, this will be where you will go, and this is the place where prices are not going down. So if you wanted a cheap RTX 4090, then you are out of luck, my friend. You will still need to sell a kidney, and well, it depends on what the companies decide to price their GPUs, so you might need to sell both kidneys. But like I said, I am really hopeful for the future when it comes to cheap GPUs, and I am even more hopeful when it comes to mid-range GPUs. Tell me what you think the future will be like in the comments down below. If you liked this video, like. If you didn't, you have the dislike button, but if you want to see more videos like this or more tech-related videos, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one. This was Ray and I will catch you in the next one.